Hi, I'm Jonathan Simons of Tracks for Life and Survival Matters TV, and I want to talk a little bit about tracking, mainly because I think it's a very deeply misunderstood skill. One of the things with tracking is that I think that a lot of people believe it's something that's purely for say Native Americans or Australian Aborigines or sort of First Nation African trackers, and it certainly couldn't be something for a sort of white European. I totally disagree with that, and that's for a number of reasons, one of which is that I really believe that everybody is a tracker already. Sort of deep down, everybody is a tracker. Now that's a big statement, and you probably go, yeah, right. And let me explain sort of why I think that's the case. One of the reasons is that I believe that tracking was a survival skill in the days of sort of wandering around African savannas or whatever it might be. And that's because if early man could understand what this sort of track in the ground meant, it could mean that just around the corner there was a big ravening beast that would rip his head off and eat him. So he turns the other way, he survives, his genes go on. The other option would be he understands the marks in the ground, that just around the corner is a very easy meal, and as a consequence he can survive because he gets a full belly and his genes go on. And the final reason is that if he understands the marks in the ground, then he could easily understand that there were another tribe or other people in his area who perhaps were trying to sort of kill him or take over his territory, take over his family, whatever it might be. He does something about it, he survives, his genes go on. So that sort of tracking gene, so to speak, is sort of within our root system, so that we are all already trackers. And the other reason I say that we're all already trackers is that if you went home and your front room had changed, everything had moved, the TV was in the wrong corner, the pictures on the wrong walls, sofa turned around, that sort of thing, you would notice. I think the vast majority of people would notice something like that. And in its most simple terms, that is tracking. Your baseline has changed. The baseline of the sofa in this place, the TV in that place, the pictures on the wall in those places. That has changed, so your baseline has changed. And in a nutshell, that is what tracking is about. It's spotting the differences in the baseline. Now, the other thing with tracking is that the baseline isn't just the physical marks in the ground. It's the birds that you can probably hear. It's things up above the ground, feeding sign, where things have walked past, hair caught on branches, that type of thing. So there's an awful lot more to tracking than meets the eye, so to speak. And fundamentally, tracking really is increasing your awareness of the environment around you. So it's really good anyway for conservationists, if you're interested in wildlife, and for actually getting closer to wildlife, irrespective of whether you're sort of tracking them or not. By increasing this awareness, you're much more likely to know what's going on around you and take appropriate action and get closer to animals. And those are two of the basic reasons why I think everybody is already a tracker. So if this in any way inspires you, perhaps a good thing would be to get a book and start looking at some tracks, get an idea what's going on in the ground around you in your area, and then perhaps go on a course or find somebody who is a tracker already that you can go out with. For me, not being able to track is a little bit like going into a library, perhaps a foreign library, where you can see lots of books, lots of pictures, lots of information, but you can't really understand any of it. And that analogy for me is going out into the woods or the fields or whatever it might be, and seeing all these sort of marks in the ground but not understanding who or what has been doing what where. And I suppose I'm a little bit nosy, really. I like to know what's going on. I like to know what animals are moving around and perhaps what they're getting up to. And you can do that through tracking. And that's one of the beauties of tracking, is that it gives you this ability to understand your own landscape and see without seeing, so to speak, what's going on around you and in your environment and in your local patch. And it does mean that every time you go out for a walk, there's going to be something that will interest you, and it will make those walks much more exciting to go out on, because you just really don't know what you're going to find. You might find a fox kill, or a sparrowhawk kill, or perhaps a site where red deer or some other deer have been rutting or lying up. So you might find hare. You might even see sort of mother and young, the shape in the ground. And this will give you an idea of what numbers and whether the animals are breeding and things like that. And for me, that is just fantastic. I love it, and it just makes walks very, very exciting. The only problem with this is, though, that covering even 100 yards sometimes can take hours, whereas it used to only take a couple of minutes out on a walk. So be warned, if you decide to take up tracking, it can take over your life. Thank you.